as Jim intimated earlier, that he sends out approximately 50 to 60 emails to folks that have played in the game. But you can't count on 50 to 60 players being available. We basically only have about 30 or 35 committed people to the program. Now, we're very happy to have that, but it works against us in some ways. One of the reasons is we have so many people is that, according to my sheet, we have approximately 40 games, which is more games than any other team, I believe, in the country plays. Some of the teams in Ohio only play maybe 6 or 8 games a year, whereas we've got 40, and that's not counting the Ohio Cup. So it's great to have 35 folks that are committed to the program. Now, when we come up against other teams, what we find is that on Friday night, when Jim gets out the 12 people that are going to play, the captain never knows who he's going to have. You could end up with 3 pitchers or something like that, or 4 guys that are over 50 years old. And that reminds me of a time about, I guess it was 3 or 4 years ago, we went to Douglas, Michigan and played the Dutchers. Well, the average age, we only had 9 guys, 3 of them had bad legs, and the average age was 43.5 years. So anyway, but the other teams that don't play many games, you will find that they have pretty well set players. They might only have 12 players on that team, and they play together that way. And Joe, whoever he is, he always plays right field or something like that. Now, being an umpire, you saw my visage in that film earlier, and I was able to get around the bases then, and they kept getting longer every year, and I kept getting slower. But under Mr. Shirk's fine tutelage, I did swing into doing a lot of umpiring. Now, when you umpire, you look at what situations there are. And what I found was that other teams play set positions. In other words, whoever it is always plays first and that. Our team, in order to get some people into all the games or all the innings, we will be switching players. We'll have Joe playing first base. Next inning, he's over at third. 5th inning, he's in the right field. Now he's back pitching. And that, to me, works to our detriment. Now, it's nice to play different positions. But I think you have to, as a captain, you have to know your players. So, a little exercise, and I'm going to hand out these sheets. I was going to use names, but it was suggested that we didn't want to embarrass anybody. So on these sheets, there are 12 players. They're numbered 1 through 12. So I want to give you, I don't think I have enough for everybody, but
we're upside down.
Who's?
We'll let Andy here. Give it to the captain or what?
Well, whatever. Pass them out to everybody.
Okay. There's a group over there.
Oh, there's a group over there. Where's this group?
I'll pass it to our captain, sir. We all get one?
Well, if you can, but share. Here. Now, there are 12 fictitious players there. This does not represent the lineup or anything else, but you'll see they are, you might say, player assessments. They're assessed on being speed, fielding, throwing, batting, decisions, and pitching. Now, I want you to discuss amongst yourself how you would play these players. Do we want to... Do you guys get enough sheets?
You know, with the time that's left, I'll worry more about fielding than deep striking.
Yeah. Okay. The first thing you want to do, and I'll put a representative tally sheet here, and that represents innings. Now, as a captain, the first thing you want to do is set your striking order. Now, my suggestion, is that right, Chip?
That's what I do, yeah.
Okay, good. Then it must be right. You set your striking order. Now, my suggestion is that the first position in striking would be a player that has speed and can get on base. The second position would be a player that can advance that man, whether he can hit to the opposite field or he's a left-handed hitter. Now, 3 and 4 positions are men or strikers that can bring those runs home. Now, you've got 4 players, and you're going to have 12 on a team. Then you start the process again. Somebody that can get on base, somebody that can move them around, and get the run in. Okay? Now, setting the fielding positions. Oh, by the way, Jim has promised that we won't have any more than 12 players on the squad at a time. No, whoa, no. Okay, if you get 13, 14, or 15, it just becomes a nightmare of how you can get the players into the various positions. Okay, now my suggestion, now first off, there's no wrong or right way of assigning the positions. But obviously, a person with sure hands would want to play first base. So another point is somebody that's going to pitch is somebody that can get the ball over the plate. And do you have a comment, Kurt?
Nothing.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I wasn't sure which building, offense or defense, were necessary.
Okay. Okay. Now, obviously, somebody that has pretty good hands and is agile, you'd want to put behind. Now, all right. So now we got player 1, 2. Now this has no 3, 4. You've set the striking order, and so on down the line. Okay. Now my theory is, when you assign a player a position, that's where he stays. Because what I've noticed in umpiring, especially with the Muffins, when you switch positions, oh, wait a minute, where's our left fielder? Well, the left fielder happens to be down talking to his girlfriend or his wife, whatever, or both, I don't know. And so you got to get him. The next thing is, what I notice, is on the bench, oh, where do I go next? Wait a minute, where am I? Where's that lineup? So you're delaying the game. And what we want to do is present a program to the folks that come that we are organized and we know what we're doing.
Why start now?
Okay, so let's assume player number 1, he's speedy and he's got good hands. Well, let's put him in left field. Now, what I would do is set your defensive order in the first inning. Take the same order, your best defense, and put them in the 8th and 9th inning. So now, he's over here, left field and left field. Did you follow me?
Yes.
All right. Number 2, he's the guy that's going to move the first striker around. Now, he's very good at shortstop. I put him there, and I put him here, and I put him here. So you're starting off the game with the best defense, and you're ending it with the best defense. Now, I realize that you don't know the players that well. But when you come to practice, you'll be able to assess them pretty well. Now, what I would do at number 3, oh man, here we come. He's a big hitter. And he normally plays right field. And you put right field, right field. Now, what you'll find is we now have there are 81 positions. You got 9 innings and 9 players. So now you got 81 positions to fill. So how are you going to do it when you got 12 players? 9 players, as they did in the 1860s, and you'll see they had 9 players, and everybody played the same position. Now, 9 players, or 12 players, you got 9 innings. So how are you going to divide 81 positions, divide by 12? Well, that equals approximately 7 innings. So each player will play 7 innings, roughly. Now, some might only play 5, somebody might play 8, just depending on the situation. Now, if you had 13 players, gee, guess what? Everybody gets to play, is that right? 6. So, going back to what I said on your starting lineup or starting fielding positions, your best defense in your first, your best defense in your ninth. Oops. Uh-oh. So now you got to take the players and divide them between the 7th to the 2nd to the 7th inning. Now, you try to get as many players equal innings, but it's just impossible unless you had 9 players for a game. Now, are there any questions? Okay, now let me say this. There's no right way or wrong way to set your striking order or your fielding order. But I think there's a better way than what we've been doing, based on my observations. Now, what I want you to do is take these sheets home and do an imaginary lineup, striking order, and do the 9 innings. And come back in 2 weeks, and I'll grade your effort.
Use some of those lineups for practices.
Right. Now, if you'll notice on these sheets, each player has been graded on the various aspects of the game. So, when you go home, take a tally sheet. You can go 1, 2, 3 through 9, and set the striking order, and then assign the field positions, and come back in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Since we don't have time for every group to come up with one lineup, like you said, you're going to take it home. Do you guys want to share what you were talking about? They've already come up with their lineup.
Okay.
They sat there together. And do you mind talking about it just for a minute? Just some of the things that you were considering? Because just other, we might...
Jim?
Just tell us.
I'll hold it.
Okay. Stand up and speak up.
The way we did our lineup, I suppose, kind of threw it together. I'll also talk to Brad about this. That might help some of the captains, since we have so many different players. Is maybe adopting like a player card of some sort. Sometimes it's better to know where your player plays. Last year, I saw a couple games. Not gonna mention any names, but we had a guy that was truly an outfielder, and he played third base almost the entire game, and really didn't make any plays, and he was really frustrated. And either the captain maybe had to do that, but he really put a couple guys in the infield that really he never wanted to play infield. He was truly an outfielder, and he mentioned several times, why did I play third base? So,
well, that's right. If you know a player or somebody that normally plays a special position or a specific position, say third base, or he's an outfielder, then put him in the outfield. or at third base, whatever is normal for him.
But like our left fielder that we had was number 11. Obviously, you know, speed was fair. His fielding was excellent. Our shortstop, obviously, you're looking for somebody with a lot of range, good speed, good knowledge. Your behind was, you know, speed was fairly poor, but you don't need a lot of speed back there. You know, everything else was pretty much fair or good. Third base, obviously, you know, we had number 3.
He's got to have a good arm.
Got to have a good arm,
Yep.
good range.
Because he's got to get, that's the longest throw.
But and then we had right field as our number 1 position person, and center field we had number 2 with the excess speed out there to track the ball down. But that's what we kind of looked for was, and obviously a little sheet of paper is kind of difficult, but you know, you try to look for players obviously that, you know, maybe ask them where do you like to play. It'll be a little bit more enjoyable for the players, at least if you get them in a position that they want to play, you know, and kind of go from there. But
I know when you make the lineup up, it's always nice to know who's playing opposite of you, because I know if he's playing short, he throws it pretty hard, and he doesn't give up. I mean, he waits till the last second to throw it too, and therefore you're going to have to be, you've got to be able to handle that. And if Schumann's pitching, it's a little different than other people pitching, so therefore the behind has to be a little bit different. Okay, so you got to go with what you know what others can do, and so that's how you work on. Now, if Chip's playing short, you need someone really rangy at first. No names at all. Okay.
Okay, good point, Jim. Like I say, you got your sheets, take them home. There's an exercise for you. Well, you remember 2 weeks ago I talked about being a captain and how to actually improve our performance on the field. And we're fortunate in having so many players available because of all the clubs that I know of, we play the busiest schedule. We play, I think, 40 or 45 games a year. And the only reason we can do that is because we have a lot of volunteer players, and which is great. But when it comes to game time, you never know who you're going to get to play. There's 12 games or 12 names that Jim will supply to play in a match. And so the captain is selected, and his job is to do the lineups. And as 2 weeks ago I talked about, the easiest part is doing your striking order. And but the hard part is assigning the field positions to the strength of the players. And as an umpire the last few years, what I've noticed with the Muffins, they've done a lot of switching. You'll have one player switching to the left field, next inning he's in right field, then he's pitching, and then first base. And what I'm suggesting is, and I'll go back a bit, the other teams, they do not have as many players as what we have. And they play their set positions most of the time. In other words, they have a first baseman, he always plays first base. They got a shortstop, he always plays shortstop. But what I'm suggesting is that we more or less do the same as much as possible. In other words, if a player is good at shortstop, you leave him at shortstop for 6 or 7 innings. And if you got a player that is good at first base, got good hands, like Don Anderson, I wouldn't put Don Anderson in left field, but I'd put him at first base. Sorry, Don.
Playing left field.
And if I was playing, I wouldn't be put anywhere. I'd be water boy. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, sort of when you do your lineup and assign the field positions, be consistent. And I think you'll find that we'll have better results on the field. Not that we don't have good results every year, but there are certain times that we could do better. Because when you switch positions around to all the players, I've seen on the bench, well, where am I playing now? Where am I playing? Hey, wait a minute, where's our left fielder? You know, but what I'm suggesting is the players stay on the bench and except for those that are doing some interpreting, but stay on the bench and be aware of where your positions, because I think it enhances the program when they see the Muffins or the teams get on the field, ready to play, and get off the field, ready to strike. I think it gives a bad impression to the folks that are watching if we're standing around wondering what to do. So that's all I have.